regards to being a terrible team, they got Ayton and Bridges in that same 18 draft. They're putting their fingerprints on it, as is Booker, as is Chris Paul. And you see the most points by a starting backcourt making a finals debut. So it's a very specific sort of criteria here. And Paul and Booker go for 59 in this one. And we welcome in Tim Legler. And Tim, a little bit later, you're going to show us some of the specifics of how Paul was able to hunt the matchups he wanted, but just the overarching sort of themes that stand out, bullet points from this victory from the Suns. What were they?
First, for me, there was two completely different levels of sharpness in this game. I'm sorry, Phoenix was just so much more prepared, so much more confident, so much more sure of what they were doing, what they were trying to accomplish. They basically had Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton be the absolute best versions of themselves, and Devin Booker does what he does. He got to his number. He didn't shoot the ball great, but to have your three best players play that well, and you look at Milwaukee, Giannis clearly wasn't himself. Chris Middleton was pretty good overall most of the night, and Jrue Holiday wasn't very good offensively. Lost his aggressiveness once again. So for me, no comparison in the two teams tonight. That did not feel like, at one point it was 9 with 6 minutes to go. That felt like a 25-point game to me. Phoenix was that much sharper than the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. And the other thing that you can tell is the deflections, the active hands, the difficulty Milwaukee had just completing simple passes in their half-court offense shows you how prepared Phoenix was for what they were trying to do to them, what they were running, where their next body movement was going to be. I just thought Phoenix was all over this. And that's coaching, it's confidence, and it's an incredible amount of trust amongst their teammates and chemistry. They were ready. They did not look like the stage was too big for them at all. And that's a great sign for Phoenix going forward in this series.
And we can tell you that Chris Paul will be joining us here on the show a little bit later. And Tim, let's widen this out a little bit to welcome Stephen A.Smith into the conversation. And Stephen A., I remember saying a while back on this show that for a team like Phoenix, who as a group had not competed in the playoffs yet, to win 16 games, man, that seemed like quite a mountain, right? I mean, that's typically there's a growth process here. They've got 13 wins, and Chris Paul's role in this 13th win, as you were there in the building, how would you best describe what he provided this Suns group tonight?
Well, it was a sensational performance. You've got a veteran leader that's had 16 years in the league, and even with devoid of a championship, is still recognized as one of the greatest point guards to have ever played this game. But when you couple that with the inabilities of the Milwaukee Bucks, you look at CP3 and you say, well, duh, what did you expect from him? When you're going to put Bobby Portis on them, when you got Brook Lopez on them, when you got P.J. Tucker on them. Wilbon and I were just talking about that a few minutes ago. What the hell do you expect is going to happen? It is mind-boggling to me how I don't want to be insulting, but absolutely clueless the Milwaukee Bucks appeared last night in being prepared for this game. You know that CP3 and Devin Booker, you know what they're going to give to you, particularly when they're hitting their perimeter shots. But a guy like CP3 is literally picking defenders. Who am I going to pick on next? Right. And absolutely, positively no adjustment was made whatsoever, and that's why he looked so spectacular.
So you didn't want to be insulting, but they were clueless.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. Look, Scott, man, I'm trying to be nice, but at the same time, give you and our audience what it is. Tim Legler was right there. He's far nicer than me, I guess. But the bottom line is he knows exactly what I'm saying. If you look at the adjustments and then look at the ball movement, look at how Monty Williams has these guys moving without the ball. But Milwaukee was standing around and just trying to give the ball to Middleton.
I understand, and I'm trying to be nice to you, but Chris Paul's standing by, and so I'm going to have to say thank you for now, and we will welcome Chris Paul to the show. Chris, thank you. It's Scott Van Pelt. Welcome back to the program. A tremendous performance tonight.
What's happening?
You've been through so much in this game. There's nothing that's new to you, and yet this was, right? This is the first finals game, and I wonder what, if anything, about it felt different than anything you have experienced to date in your illustrious career.
Another game, obviously. The stakes a little higher. The intensity was there, but we're prepared. Our coaches prepared us. All of our guys on our team, we didn't put in the work, so now it's time to get to it.
And you did get to it, and just your ability to find the matchup you wanted and exploit it, was that what you came into this game sort of eyeballing? This is what we want to try to do.
Well, you take what they give you. You know, when they played big, they switched early, then they sort of went into a sort of a drop. Then they went small. We saw them switching everything against the Hawks. So, I mean, we done seen every coverage you could see all season long, and our team just has so much depth. You know, so if you try to take one thing away, we'll just find the next guy.
In Booker, Ayton, Bridges, and I'm talking just about the young guys for the moment, just because this is their first run through the postseason, Chris. You've been through it so often. How, I don't know if proud's the right word, but I mean, how do you best describe what you're getting from these young guys and how you feel about what you're getting?
I kind of talk crazy to them sometimes because they're going to think it's sweet. They first time getting in the playoffs and they done got all the way to the finals.
Right.
But I think it's just a credit to them, especially Book. He's the one who's been here the longest, been through some tough seasons here in Arizona and Phoenix. So it's nice, man. It's a great group to be around, and we just want to keep having fun.
And I keep going back to you knowing what it is, because you do. And there are still 3 to get, and no one's throwing a parade after tonight. But how are you best able to stay present, Chris, in these moments, recognizing what the stakes are with each victory, how much closer the ultimate prize becomes?
With me, it may be the experience, you know, the heartbreak, the tough losses, and understanding that it's not over till it's over. You know, it's just one game. You know, we here at home, we're supposed to win at home. Game 2 is the biggest game of the season right now. So with me, it's just about staying the course and making sure my guys stay locked in.
Well, Chris, I appreciate you stopping by after the victory. 3 more to get. Hopefully we can talk to you again throughout the process. I appreciate you being here.
Always, Scott. Appreciate you. Go Deeks.
There you go. Chris Paul, after a tremendous performance. And Stephen A., I'll welcome you back in. You heard what he had to say about the performances of these young guys. I'll get to you just in 1 second, Stephen A. You see a 30-point game in the NBA Finals at 36 or older all time. You know Kareem's on that list. He was ageless. Tim Duncan, you could say the same about him. And now Chris Paul, in his first NBA Finals game, joins that list. I wanted to get back to you, Stephen A., just to get your thoughts about what you heard, specifically about the youngsters, because this is their first playoff run, whether it's Booker or Ayton or Bridges. What are you seeing from those guys in complementing what Paul is providing?
Well, first of all, I'm seeing skill. Devin Booker is a star. This brother is special, and tonight was the latest example of how special he can be. Let's give major props to DeAndre Ayton. He had about 22 points, 19 rebounds, and was a constant presence and force throughout this evening. Mikal Bridges came off and hit a couple of threes. Obviously, Cameron Payne, he doesn't shoot much, but when he puts it up, it usually goes in. I'm sorry, not Cameron Payne, but Cameron Johnson. And then you look at Cameron Payne, what he comes in, what he's capable of doing off the bench. But it's a tribute and a credit to them that they're willing to listen to the tutors, to the just the leadership and the guidance from a veteran like CP3. In today's generation of players, so many times we look at youngsters and they've got the skill, and because they've got the skill, Scott, as you've reported on so many occasions, they've got the skills, they've got the bag, they know what they can bring to the table, and as a result, they feel they have arrived, that they don't necessarily need to listen to anybody. But
right.
CP3 comes here, devoid of a championship, having had that escape him throughout his illustrious 16-year career, and despite the absence of a championship, they treat him like a champion because they respect the knowledge that he's trying to bless them with and the level of wisdom that he's imparted upon them. And so you got to give them credit where credit is due. To be young, to be established, to have the money, to have the skill set, to have all the adulation thrown in their direction, and to still be humbled enough to be held in check by a leader searching for his first championship, not one that came as a champion. You got to give credit where credit is due. It shows that although they're young, they're incredibly mature, and they showed it tonight by being prepared for Game 1 and pretty much throughout these playoffs. Every single series they've walked into, they've come here prepared and ready to play and put somebody else on their heels to start the playoffs. You got to give credit where credit is due in that regard.
I agree. Really well put. There's a lot to like about being out in the Valley, but there's one thing that's the challenge, and that's that wake-up call comes early. And I know first take will be, I'm looking at my watch, you got to get some early rest to get up early and bring the heat tomorrow. I appreciate you.
I'm good, but please don't say bring the heat. It's 106 degrees already here, okay?
Yeah, but it's a dry heat. You don't sweat?
I don't care. It's heat. Listen, I ain't going to complain. I like the heat better than the cold, so I ain't going to front. But it's roasting here. Roasted.
Turn the AC
You have
up,
a tan
my guy.
already, Scott.
I know your
You have a
suite is
tan already.
I know your suite is well looked after. Stephen A. Smith, I appreciate you, man.
Something like that.
He's not himself. Defense is going to be how you win this thing. And
Golly.
118. I'm not that's not good
Not
defense.
get it done. No,
Give
no.
up 30 points in the first quarter. But as we like to do, let's overreact.
Overreact, shall we?
But before we overreact, let's acknowledge, with Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, that Giannis did play. And we weren't sure if he was going. He went from doubtful, right, to questionable, and then he was in the
Game time
lineup after
decision.
trying it out in pregame. He played 35 minutes, 20 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 for 12 from the free throw line. I laugh because that's a story with him.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And everybody gets to like 13 by the time he shoots it. It should be a violation every time.
Do
Are
you
we counting
notice,
too fast?
But do you notice some of the fans, like there's part of the fan base that tries to count like the official and slow, and then the rest of the fan base is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
They speed it up. But it's like the official usually like they count
The cadence,
with the hand.
So-
but the officials aren't. They're actually pumped, like they'll clench their fist, do their count that way, so it's visual, but they don't want to make it obvious. Imagine officials just go like Joey
Follow
Crawford
along.
would be like,
It's like an
1,
orchestra. Yeah. So funny, my dad's an official. When this first became a thing, he was like in the house like, you're not supposed to, you don't start as soon as he catches the ball, you give him a beat. Like I was like, Dad, you do your official thing. It's still right
It's
there
for
on your
fans.
official thing.
Yeah.
I know the fans are fast, but in legit time, it's a little slow.
But Giannis did play, like I mentioned. He did play, which for him, as you hear him talk about right now, was a bit of a surprise.
My knee felt good. Obviously, when you go and play a game, you never know what's going to happen. A play with Jay Crowder might happen, or the same play that happened that like you don't know what's going to happen. I'm just happy that I'm out there, and I'm able to, help my teammate in any way possible. I feel good. I don't feel pain. I can run, I can jump, I can set screens. I can rebound the ball. I can do stuff. So I'm good. I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm out there. At the end of the day, I haven't watched the clip, but when the play happened, I thought I'm going to be out for a year, So I'm just happy that two games later, I'm back.
He thought he'd be out for a year.
Scary.
We all probably did, right?
That injury looked nasty.
And he didn't watch the replay, but we all saw it maybe way too many times. Like, I'm that guy because I've been through ACLs a couple of times. Like, the minute you see it the first time, I'm like, nope, don't need to see it. I know what that is. I can feel it.
Why are we so obsessed with replays on injuries?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird.
What was the worst injury you ever had?
Personally,
Yeah.
I broke my nose my freshman year. Caught an elbow.
Ouch.
And I just remember being on the ground like, I'm fine. My teammate's like, no, you're not. There's blood everywhere.
Why is
Go
your
with the
nose
trainer.
pointing that way?
It's like, I'm fine. I just got hit in the nose, right? No.
Yeah, no. It's there's something about when you've had a devastating injury, and like the first time I injured my knee, I didn't know how bad it was. Like I know it hurt, but I was so used to just I'm fine. I get up, I'm fine. I got to walk it off. The second time it happened, I knew.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it hurt more. And from that moment on, when someone had a knee injury in any sport, like I felt it. And I don't know if anybody else out there understands what I'm talking about. If you've ever had a devastating knee injury or whatever it is, or any type of injury, shoulder, no matter what it is, when you see it somehow, some way, you feel it again.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch the replay. Nothing.
My broken nose was the most gruesome, but I did play with I played with and probably still have a partially torn labrum. Doesn't matter much now because I don't have to do that.
Right.
But I feel you. Anytime a guy's like, at one point in that game, Giannis was kind of doing this with his shoulder. And I was like, uh-oh, is that a stinger? What's going on?
Oh, God, yeah. But that was Straight Talk, brother. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. So you heard from Giannis. Now hear from us on our irrational, as always, takes, reactions, predictions after just one game.
Inspired by these Twitter streets.
What do you got for me?
Completely inspired by these Twitter streets where people are bugging. If you walk into this segment at the wrong point, you're just going to be lost. I'm not this crazy. Overreaction. You ready? The Bucks are better without Giannis on the floor because Drew Holiday can be aggressive and he makes everyone better.
How dare you?
Boom.
So Monica says the Bucks are better off without Giannis. Just for the record, that's what she said. Now, Drew Holiday, though, after having two fantastic games to close out,
you can't have them both, hon. They need the ball.
4 of 14, 0 of 4. Now, he almost had triple double. He had 10 points, which is not great, but 7 rebounds, 9 assists. But you're right. He suddenly went back to like sort of forgotten man again.
Table setter.
Now, can I just dump a little water on though on your theory?
Listen, dude, overreaction.
Game 1
Go for
on
it.
court, Giannis. The Bucks are +1 in Game 1. When he was off the court, -14.
Hey, you want to fall in love with stats? That's a great sound. Don't fall in love with that box score and those stats and those numbers.
I'm
What
the
am I
numbers
telling
guy,
you?
though. I give you useless stats. You know me.
Hey, you do love your useless stats. I
Yeah.
don't think they're useless. Not shout out to Wally. Be nice, Wally.
Wally's our
I don't
back.
think they're useless, but they lost. I will say that. And so, therefore, my overreaction.
Gotcha.
Nailed it.
Okay, Giannis.
Boom.
So from now on, Bucks, Milwaukee, tell Giannis, sit this one out. We're going to take it from
We
here.
got it. We
They're
got it.
better off without you.
That's it.
Meanwhile, I'll give you mine.
I was gonna say, don't leave me on this overreaction island.
No,
please.
please. I watched it like watching that game last night. I kept saying to myself, "This series is over. Series is over." And I said it yesterday. This series could. Now I thought without Giannis, it could be a sweep. I really believe that because the Suns just are this team. They are brimming with confidence. They've got a leader that they all believe in, that they all rally around. I don't know if the Bucks have that kind of inspiration where it's like they rally around somebody. Giannis returns and everybody's like Drew's like, oh great, guess we're not running anymore. Right? I guess the middle's not
There
going to
goes
be open
my
for my
scoring.
drives
Right.
anymore. So it's sort of like that wasn't that inspiration. There was no here comes Willis. Like there was none of that happening in this, right? But the Suns have that in Chris Paul. They have that. And you see the way they play. You see the way Monty Williams had that team prepared. Do we trust Mike Budenholzer? What really has saved the Bucks in the playoffs? Injuries. The Bucks are here because they were able to their opponents, again, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, they lose those two guys. Kevin Durant almost eliminated you guys if it wasn't for his toe touching the line.
Big
You wouldn't
foot.
even be here. So adjustments? Really? Like that's what we're going to talk about. What adjustments were they making against the Hawks? Here's the adjustment. Trae Young got hurt. That's the adjustment. So to me, I don't have that kind of faith in the coaching of the Milwaukee Bucks. Therefore, my hot take after one game, series is over.
We are on fire.
Am I crazy though? Like that's no, I'm not. Of course, I'm crazy. You can definitely say that. But that's how I felt after.
I mean,
one
are
game.
you?
I was saying, I don't know if your take is that hot. Like, and the hot
Now, will it
meter.
be? I don't think it'll be a sweep. Maybe not. But I mean, how? What are they going to keep switching? We're going to keep doing that. That's going to work. You're going to keep Bobby Porter's like he's just
Bobby
looking down the
Porter.
barrel of a Chris Paul who's backing. Chris Paul's backing
Hey.
up like oh.
And Bobby's like
Look
in
at
a
his
stance.
chops.
Like the only thing missing in terms of Bobby's effort
Slap the
yesterday
floor.
was slapping the floor. Literally. Like he's trying. Poor little Tink. Poor little Tink Tink.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's one of those where even his teammates are going, throw the damn towel.
My
Like
bad.
just foul him.
Bro.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. That's how you feel. How do you feel? 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Keyshawn J. Will Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. You can save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com. So one Olympic hopeful won't be running at all this year in Tokyo. We'll tell you why after Monica has this from Rumble On.
Do you have a motor?